channel. If you're new here, my name is Linda and I make videos about life in Canada. If you're not new here and you're subscribed, welcome back and thank you so much for supporting my channel. Let me remove these glasses. So as you can tell by the title of today's video, I wanted to jump on here and talk about what do you really need to succeed in Canada as an international student. The reason I want to do this video is because I get questions sometimes about how life is in Canada and Vancouver for me, what my experience has been. Some people ask me to help them to migrate here, and I'm like, I don't know if have you like done the research to figure out if Canada is really the destination of the country that you really want to go and study abroad in. So this video is for those people who are just wondering like, how is life out there and what do you really need to succeed as an international student? So the first thing is very obvious. You need money, and the reason I'm putting money at the top is just to get that out of the way, because wherever you go and study, you're definitely gonna need money. But I will say also what's important is Vancouver is the second most expensive city in the whole world. I think the first one is Hong Kong, and so Vancouver's number 2, so which means you really need to either have lots of money or you need to find ways to have different streams of income. So a lot of people that live in Vancouver might say they can't afford an apartment, so they'll live in like a basement, or they'll live in a house and share with 3 or 4 other people, because that's just how expensive the cost of living is. Some people may have more than one job, so I would really caution and say Vancouver is very expensive, so be prepared to come here and try to make money, either by working more than one job or by living in not so glamorous conditions. I myself live in a basement with one roommate, so I'm like the typical example of Vancouver's expensive and it doesn't really make sense to go and try and find an apartment because the apartment prices are just so high. So it's the housing that makes it expensive. Let me just clarify. It's the housing that makes Vancouver expensive. It's not necessarily like the food or transit. Everything else is okay, I would say, but housing is difficult, and I think housing is a very basic need. So that's why Vancouver is known as the most expensive city in the world, number 2 on the list. The second thing that I would recommend you need is to be adaptive. So to have an adaptive attitude, I would say, is very important. I remember when I first arrived in Vancouver, I just could not stand the rain. I just didn't like it. It was raining too much and I just didn't understand why there was so much rain. And 5 years later, I still don't really like it, but I think I found a way to kind of just live with it. So being very adaptive is going to be important, and I think this applies to any city or any country you move to. But I think for Vancouver it's important because you will also be exposed to different kinds of people, different lifestyles, different belief systems, like different cultures, which I'll also talk a bit about in the next point. But to succeed, I think you really need to be adaptive. Don't kind of come in close-minded. Just be open to even watching yourself grow and change, because you're going to be in a new city and a new culture, and so being adaptive will make the whole entire experience just much more positive for you. So point number 3 is actually related to the previous point. It's important to be open-minded, and specifically what I mean by this is, like I said, so for people who don't really know, so Vancouver is one of those cities that's very known to be multicultural. And I have a friend who described this the other day very well. He was like, Vancouver is multicultural, but it's not intercultural. So what that means is you're gonna meet people from all types of cultures, all types of ethnicities. It's just a blend of different cultures, which is amazing. But at the same time, those different people from different cultures kind of stick together. So if you sort of identify more with the African culture, you'll probably find that the Africans hang out together more, you know, the Asian culture, and it's very fragmented. Yes, that's the word I would use. So I bring up this point because I that's definitely something I struggled with, because what happens is, from a large scale, if it's multicultural, that's fine. But if you find yourself in, say, a class where majority of the students are Asian and you're the only African, chances are the Asian students will hang out and work together, and you're probably going to be the only like black person there, and you're trying to like figure it out. So don't let those things get to you. It's just the culture. I'm not here to talk about if it's good or bad, but I'm just saying something to keep in mind, and something that I really struggled with at the very beginning was noticing that people who had similar cultures kind of clinged on to each other. And even if I tried to like reach out, it was just, you know, it was a very uncomfortable thing to do, because people just don't do that. They like to stick with people from the same culture systems. If you are in Vancouver and you're watching this video, please comment down below about that, if you've ever had an experience of it. But for me personally, I find that you have to be open-minded. So to clarify, there are people, as you know, stay in Vancouver, I've found that I've met people who actually found Vancouver to be fragmented, like I'm saying, and they've tried to sort of break that barrier and hang out with people regardless of their cultural backgrounds. So I'm not saying, you know, everyone in Vancouver is like racist or whatever, but I'm saying when you're new, you will tend to notice that, especially if you're from like a minority cultural group, you will tend to notice that people tend to cling to similar cultural groups, which is fine. It makes sense, and it's normal, but it's just something to keep in mind if you're new and you're a foreign student and you're trying to, you know, find your way around Vancouver. The last thing that I think is important if you are planning to move here is it's going to be very important for you to be creative and resourceful, and it could be on very small things to like very large important decisions. So for example, before I moved here, I had never done my own hair, so I braid my hair myself, and so I spend less money by buying braiding hair and then just spending a day doing my own hair, and I think it looks decent. It's not too bad. Obviously it's not gonna be as good as if I went to a hair salon and I paid someone for it. So that was me trying to be like creative. I had to like sit down, go through YouTube videos and just learn how do people actually braid their own hair. So that's like a very small scale example, but you're also going to have to be creative in other more important decisions. Let's say you're at school and you're just trying to figure out, like, for example, if I wanted to stay in Canada after I get my degree, what does that look like? So you're gonna have to be creative and talk to people who are probably in their last year and try to network and figure out, okay, what did you do to stay longer? Like, how come you're still here after you've graduated? So a creative mindset and creative attitude is going to be very important. Like, it's going to be very useful for you if you're a very resourceful person and you're not afraid to just step out of your comfort zone and talk to people and find out how did they manage to stay in the city for so long. What do they know that some people don't really know? So that is going to help you a lot. I found, even for me, I'm able to be where I am today because I wasn't afraid to sort of ask people questions and just figure out, like, what are they doing with their lives, like, especially after you get your degree, because after you get your degree there's all kinds of options. You can definitely go back home, or you can stay longer and figure out what those opportunities look like. So as I said, in a nutshell, if you want to succeed as an immigrant or an international student, you need financial resources, you need to have an adaptive attitude, you also need to have an open mind to different cultures, and stepping out of your comfort zone, as well as being creative and resourceful. And I've applied all of those things throughout the 5 or 6 years, however long I've been here, and it's really been helpful for me. So I truly recommend that you guys come in with that kind of attitude, and you'll find that your experience here will be much easier. So that's it from today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have watched up until this point, thank you so much for supporting my channel. Please do subscribe if you haven't yet. Please give this video a like and hit that notification button so that every time I post a video you get a notification. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.